Hey everyone, welcome back to another Angel live stream. Today I am so excited. We are going to be talking about Angel Studios' upcoming theatrical release, Bonhoeffer. It's the story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer releasing on November 22nd. We are so excited to have some of the producers of the film on with us today. We are going to talk all about who Bonhoeffer is, why they're telling his story, and hopefully get you guys really excited to go see it this fall. We are also going to be doing a giveaway on this live stream. So during this live stream, all you need to do is go online and purchase a ticket. And that is how you will be entered to win. So you go to angel.com/bonlive to enter the giveaway right now. At the end of the live stream, we are going to show you guys an exclusive behind-the-scene clips of the making of the Bonhoeffer film. So stick around for that. Before we get started today with the producers and talking about this amazing film, I want to make sure you all have seen the trailer. So let's go ahead and watch that right now.
Something's coming. Something unstoppable.
Look around you, my friend. How much light do you see?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds when I was sleeping.
Hate comes in every color.
And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound.
We have devised a plot to assassinate the Führer.
You will go to England as our spy.
Churchill sees Germany as a whole. He's afraid that a bomb traced to England would mean invasion or worse.
Invasion? Invasion! My country was invaded from within!
And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made.
Hi, Hitler!
And the sign flashed out his warning. And the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words on the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls and whispered in the sound.
I'm ready to meet my destiny.
Of silence.
Wasn't that trailer awesome? Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I want to see what you think, what your favorite parts were, what you're excited for. Let me know and I'll check out those comments. But now that we've seen the trailer, I want to go ahead and dive right in with these producers. They're amazing. They have so much passion for what this film is all about. So let's welcome Camille, Kampouris, and John Scanlon. Hi, you guys.
Nice to be here.
Welcome.
Very nice to be here.
We're so excited you guys are willing to join us today. Will the both of you just go ahead and introduce yourselves? John, we'll start with you. Tell everyone who you are, what you did on the film, how you ended up working on it.
Sure. My name is John Scanlon. I'm one of the producers on the film. And I was with the production from very early days. Not as early as Camille, but came in to help round up investors and basically get all of the blocking and tackling done in the early days of the film. So I've been with it for 12 years.
That's awesome. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, and Camille, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, so I'm Camille Kampouris, and my husband and I, Mano, who's not with us today. He's not here today. He's with us, but he's not here. Let me show him.
Good clarification.
Yeah. He and I are obviously the lead producer, so we've been with it for, I guess, about 6 months more than John. And it all started with us reading a fabulous biography on Bonhoeffer in, I think, the year 2010. And that inspired us to start thinking this should really be a movie. And that book is by Eric Metaxas, who we live in New York, and so did he, and he went to our church at that time. So we chatted with him and asked him occasionally, is anybody going to make a movie about this? And he said, oh, yeah, people were coming and going in his life from Hollywood. They would come, they would promise something and then disappear. And so fast forward, I don't know, a year or so, and we talked to him again. I said, what's happening? Is there a movie being made? And he said, no, I don't know what to do about that. So we went home, and my husband and I thought, you know what? Why don't we just offer to get a script done? And we're thinking, how hard can it be to get a script done? Little did we know, we've never produced a movie. I'm not sure we ever will again, but we'll see. We'll do whatever God says. But anyway, we set out to just do a script.
Yeah.
Thinking it's important to have creative control and things like this, because if you allow Hollywood to do a script about a man of faith, it's not a faith film, but it is a movie about a man of great faith and deep faith and courageous faith. We thought, they'll gut the faith. That's what they do often. So we started out, and that just to get a script took 7 years. We went through 3 screenwriters, 2 script doctors, several critics, several consultants, and 3 directors helping us. So it was a very long process. We had no idea.
Wow. I love that. We're just gonna write a script real quick. That's amazing.
What's it gonna take? A year? 2? I mean, I had worked I was a performing artist before in my other life many years ago. And we would sit around and do scripts, but, I was working on TV, and scripts were being popped out, regularly.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that shows, the importance of this story to you guys, that you went through the process of having so many people review it, make sure it was told the way it needed to be told.
Right.
With kind of that in that vein, what is it that, I guess, John, what drew you into the project that made you want to be a part of it?
I think the opportunity to, well, first of all, I would have to say, obviously, the Mano and Camille's vision for this project was what drew me in.
Yeah.
I loved the passion they had for telling this amazing story. I also loved the commitment they had to stewarding it in a way that would honor Bonhoeffer's legacy and really sort of highlight the aspects of his life that are brought to life on screen. But looking at Bonhoeffer's life, I think the thing about this film that is so impactful is, if you watch it, you're going to be inspired to become the best version of yourself, the bravest version of yourself that you can be. And that's what I love about this film. And I hope I can credit myself with seeing some of that in the early stages, and just seeing that Bonhoeffer is such an inspiring figure because he's so fearless and so committed and so dedicated at a time in history when there were people who were just as dedicated to evil, implacably dedicated to doing the wrong thing. And here comes Bonhoeffer, committed to his Lord and committed to doing the right thing. It's an amazing sort of titanic clash of wills and faiths.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Really quick, for those of you that are just joining us, I just want to give you a quick reminder. We are doing a giveaway during this live stream. We're learning all about the film Bonhoeffer that comes out in theaters this fall, November 22nd. And if you buy a ticket while you're on this live stream today, you'll be entered to win an awesome Bonhoeffer t-shirt. John's actually wearing it today. I told him I wouldn't make him do a catwalk, but there it is for you guys. So we will be announcing the winner. What was that, John?
For everybody's. The t-shirt's not actually printed backwards. When you get it. It looks backwards on my camera, so I just want to make sure it's printed the right way.
So go ahead and enter to win. Just buy a ticket during this live stream. You can do that at angel.com/bonlive. So, John, you were just talking about, how courageous Bonhoeffer was. I kind of want to ask you guys, would one of you mind just telling our viewers who Bonhoeffer, we're going to say that again. Would one of you mind telling us who Bonhoeffer was? Kind of give us a little backstory on who this movie's about.
John, do you want to? Should I?
You should, Camille, for sure.
What?
I'm happy.
Well, jump in if I leave anything out. So this movie's it's a World War II picture. It's about a pastor during World War II.
Yeah.
He comes from a very privileged home, a lovely home. And when we first meet him in the film, he's about 8 years old. We thought it was important to show the kind of beautiful family he grew up in, bucolic setting with a close-knit family. And then tragedy hits the family. And at that point, he's about 12. By the time he's 14, he decides that he wants to be a pastor. He starts thinking about eternity, starts thinking about heaven. He had a twin sister, and they used to call out to eternity. And the only one in his family, there's 8 children, the only one in his family who's a Christian is his mother. The father was a psychiatrist, very secular. So he embarks on becoming a pastor, becoming a theologian first. And he's absolutely brilliant. By the time he's 21 or 2, he has his dissertation written, and it's brilliant. And he's also an amazing pianist. His parents thought he was going to be a concert pianist. And he's too young to be ordained in the Lutheran Church, which you have to be 25, and he's about 21. Yeah. So he decides to go to New York, and this is 1930. He decides to go to New York, I guess he's about 23 then, and study 1 year at Union Seminary. He goes to New York. It's during segregation. It's 1930, and he meets an African American in his seminary. He's not impressed with the seminary. It's going a little liberal. He's not impressed with many of the churches. So the friend says, why don't you come with me? Come to my church. And he takes him to Harlem. And the church is still there. It's a wonderful church. It's still going strong. It's Abyssinian Baptist Church. And there, later, Bonhoeffer will say he went from being a theologian to a Christian in that church. There, kind of the penny drops. He sees a vibrant faith. He sees vibrant worship. He sees people who are suffering, and yet they're so faithful. They're so committed, and they're active. They do things like speak out for people with no voice. So if there's a lynching in the South, they hang a black flag outside of the church and they speak out. And he befriends them. He stays for a year, so that's quite unusual for that time for a white man to join a black church and be very committed. He teaches Sunday school, and he takes a trip with Frank, his friend. They go to Washington, and he experiences a lot of prejudice. He can't be served in a restaurant because he's with a black man. So everywhere he's seeing no blacks allowed. He goes back to Germany. And within a year and a half or so, Hitler comes to power. And now he starts to see, he starts to hear the same rhetoric. Hitler is carving Jews out of society. And pretty soon he's going to see no Jews allowed in stores and places. And so this is what really changes Dietrich's life. This is where he begins to be the kind of person that he became famous for, the kind of a prophet and martyr. He is one of the earliest pastors to speak out against really the church. His first battle is with the church. The church is being silent. Yeah. It's choosing to worry about influence and power more than living the gospel. So they are being co-opted by Hitler. They're saying, look, it's not really, the Jewish battle is not really ours. Let's leave that for later. And Dietrich is adamant. We have to speak out. That is what we do as Christians if we're Christians. And so this takes him down an increasingly difficult path, an increasingly lonely path. The church first persecutes him, tries to shut him down, shut his preaching down, and then the Nazis begin to shut his writing down. They ban him from Berlin. And eventually, as he's trying to seek God's will, what else can he do with his life? Lord, you've cut every door. You've showed every door's been closed. He eventually joins the resistance. So, which is whole other part of his life. It's a big, it was a very big struggle for him to join an assassination plot, essentially.
Yeah.
How can a man of God get involved with assassinating a head of state, with being part of a coup d'etat? And it's just fascinating to see how Bonhoeffer's faith grows, how he begins to process all these things. It shows you that when you become a Christian, you just don't have everything like the minute you become a Christian. It is a journey, and hopefully your faith gets deeper and deeper as you face challenges and as you get closer to the Lord. So,
Yeah.
It's in a nutshell. It's a big nutshell I gave you, but
That was beautiful. Thank you for
John
sharing.
can fill in things I left out, John.
Yeah, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things I was thinking about as we're talking about Bonhoeffer's life, which, by the way, we capture in a relatively short amount of time on screen. But one of the things that I think comes through is when he's 20, 21, Bonhoeffer probably thinks the bravest thing he'll ever do is a book signing because he's a theologian. Right? So what challenges does his life hold? But he turns into a guy who becomes a spy, goes overseas, has meetings with foreign leaders, comes back and goes undercover into Germany's military intelligence division and becomes a spy. His faithfulness and his obedience lead him down these wild trails and into incredible danger with the highest stakes imaginable. And he does it all with great courage and great steadfastness. And it's really fun to watch on screen.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen it, everybody. It was really good. So part of that, just kind of going along with the courage and the bravery of Bonhoeffer, it's been mentioned that we want to start a movement with this film. I'm hearing hashtag BonhoefferBrave. Can you kind of talk me through that? What is that ripple effect or invitation that we're hoping starts when people see this film?
Well, I think what we're hoping... Sorry, go ahead.
Let's start with John, and then we'll go... Yeah.
Okay. I think what we're hoping will happen is that people will go to this movie and come away not only entertained and incredibly moved, but also inspired to follow Bonhoeffer down a path of doing something that is more brave than you possibly thought was, you could actually do in your life. We live in a time of very high stakes with lots of challenges, and there are many opportunities, some of which might be world historical, but some of which might be helping your neighbor or helping a family member or saying something at the right time to the right person to nudge them in a different direction. It can be as large or as small a moment as, we might find ourselves in every day. But what we're hoping is that people will say, if Bonhoeffer could do it, maybe I can do it. And the next step would be to say something about it online so that other people in their lives can be inspired by their bravery the way we're inspired by Bonhoeffer's bravery. So we're hoping it'll be take a brave step and share about it online and encourage others to do the same.
Yeah. I love that you are also kind of acknowledging in that bravery looks so different for everyone. Like, it might be really scary for someone to have a good thought, like, I should say hi to that stranger or something like that. Like, that would take a lot of courage for someone, And so I think it's really cool that bravery, that step can be as simple as a smile, but also as grand as, what Bonhoeffer did. So I think that's awesome. That's great.
Well said.
Yeah. Camille, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, Bonhoeffer, once he had that experience in Harlem, he started reading his Bible, he started praying and meditating. So he began to call Jesus the man for others. So he began to realize that if you're going to be a Christian, you had to speak for those who had no voice. You had to love your neighbor no matter the cost. And I think that's where his courage came. I mean, that's where he was called upon to be courageous, because he was facing, a situation I hope we never have to face with the kind of monstrous evil that the Nazis were. Yeah. But to John's point, there's evil all around us, and Bonhoeffer famously said, silence in the face of evil is itself evil. Not to speak is to speak, not to act is to act. And sometimes the evil, I know in my life I've done a lot of volunteer work for the elderly, and sometimes I'm appalled at how they're treated, how they're ignored, how they're invisible in our society, and they need an advocate. They need someone to go with them to the housing department and speak for them, or someone to go to the hospital and make sure they're not invisible in the waiting room. So to John's point, there are opportunities all around us, and our director Todd often says, we are called to be brave much more than we say yes to. And I think there's a lot of truth to that,
That's good.
That is good.
So we felt early on, Mano and I, when we decided to let's go for this, let's try to help write the script. We thought, what an amazing role model Bonhoeffer is, because he was so young when he did all these things. He's not a mature man who's got all of his theology worked out. He was starting to speak out at 24. And so we thought, what a great role model for young people today. I mean, they're growing up in such a confused world, such a precarious world. So this new campaign, BonhoefferBrave, we really love that idea. It's great. It's great. And for some people, as you said, just talking to somebody takes courage.
Yeah. So for those of you watching, when you go see Bonhoeffer, join us, BonhoefferBrave. Use that hashtag. We want to see how you are being Bonhoeffer brave. We would love to spend time scrolling through and seeing what you're doing, what this film moved you to do. I think that'll be really cool to kind of add another level of community in this world too, like bring us together through those moments. I'm really excited about that.
It's interesting that you said community. That was a big thing in Bonhoeffer's life, and he developed that a lot in his seminary. He just thought that as a Christian, first of all, the church had to be visible, had to be right there in the middle of the town, and Christians had to be visible, and they had to come together, and community had to be a big part of your life. You had to have your life in community and your life alone with God. Those two things were,
Yeah. That's awesome. I have a question. I feel like there had to have been so much, this is so random, but just as we're talking, I'm like, there had to have been so much research you guys did into this, the life of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, to put together this movie. Can you tell me what that was like? How much research did you have to do?
Well, we had 12 years, so actually reading book after book after book, and a lot of Bonhoeffer books we read.
Yeah.
We read Gospel Discipleship a couple times, and Life Together, and his letters from prison. And, it's not just us, it's our screenwriter was doing a deep dive in all of those things. As I said, we started with Eric Metaxas's book, because that is one of the most, I've read a lot of biographies on Bonhoeffer, and that is certainly, in my mind, the most readable. It reads like a novel.
That's awesome.
It lends itself to a movie. So even though our movie's not based on the book, that certainly was our inspiration. But there's so many other books to read on Bonhoeffer. There's one book by Dr. Reggie Williams that's just about Harlem. And it's just about that period of Harlem.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. But there was a lot of time to do research.
Yeah.
We kept doing it. It was our favorite thing to read about.
Oh, I love that. That's cool. And I feel like you guys know so many details, I feel like you really just captured him. So that's really cool that much research went into it so that you could tell it in a way that you feel best represents, Yeah. So.
Hey, can I just want to toot a couple of horns here. One is for Camille, who is basically, I think, could get a PhD in Bonhoeffer now. She's researched so much about his time and his life. Wow. And it was such a lifeline for us. We'd look to Camille and say, would it really have been? Would he really have buttoned the third button on his coat? And she would say no, the first two.
I love that.
That's a fake example, but they were great. What would he have said here theologically? Is this accurate? And so forth. And he was always there with the answer. The other thing I would say is the level of detail to which our crew went to make sure that what you're seeing on screen is an accurate representation of that period is stunning.
Really?
You'll see there are a couple of places where you'll see different kinds of German soldiers in a scene together. They'll be wearing different uniforms. And our costumer went and researched. The time is 1938, or the time is 1942. What are the, what is the Wehrmacht wearing? What is the Luftwaffe wearing? What would these soldiers and airmen have been wearing at this time in this place? And it's all just dead on accurate. And it passes by in a moment. You blink and it's gone on screen. But the impression remains of this incredible time travel that we've gotten to experience as we watch this film. It's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's a very good point. I mean, we would go to a set and we would know that, we would look at the set and we go, I don't think the camera's ever going to be pointing there.
Yeah.
But there would be these amazing details from that era, a photograph or something from that era.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think one of the reasons, John, that I knew so much, I don't want to toot my horn, is that we had 3 screenwriters, as you know, and they all did like 10 drafts. So I just went over every word, every draft. I was always reading the scripts, and then we were always deciding, should we have this scene and that scene? So, you just, by default, learn a lot.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That's incredible that your crew and that you guys did the research and that your crew was also researching and put that level of care. I love that. I think that's the care given by everybody just shows, when you watch the film. It's just so beautifully done. And it's beautifully filmed too. Those locations, oh my goodness. It's just beautiful to watch. Not only is the story beautiful, but like the visuals. Did you guys have a favorite spot that you got to film at? John,
we filmed in Belgium. We filmed 31 days in Belgium, I think, was it, John? 30, and then 11 in Ireland.
Wow.
Belgium was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I've been to Belgium before, but never really outside Brussels. And the countryside in Belgium was just spectacular. And so it looks like what your imagination conjures up when you think of, sort of Germany before the war. At least it looked that way. But of course, being Irish in Extraction, I was very happy to be a few miles from my grandfather's birthplace.
Oh, wow.
When we were filming there.
That's special.
Nice to be, even though it was freezing. I'll say it was extremely cold.
Was it cold?
Oh my goodness. Well, we were shooting in the middle of the winter. One day we were when we were shooting the famous scene where Bonhoeffer's preaching.
Yeah.
At Kaiser Wilhelm Church, his famous message. I wore, I think, literally every item of clothing I had on the set. I was just a mound of black.
And what's so funny is, I was like sort of arrogant about the cold. I live in New York, and I'm thinking, I'm looking at my phone and it's saying 38 degrees, and I'm thinking, how cold is 38 degrees? How cold can that be? 40 degrees. We get there, and it's bone chilling. It's so damp. It was like 10 below. We were running to the malls, buying long underwear and the heat, the things that you put in your
the little hand warmers. Yeah, you're all standing there shaking them up.
And then we would say, "Oh, tomorrow we're going to be shooting in a church." Thank goodness. We get to the church, and inside it was just as freezing. So I have to say that being producers, we did have tents sometimes with heaters in it, so we can't complain too much.
That's nice.
But,
when you watch the Kaiser Wilhelm scene, spare a tear for the poor extras who had to sit in the pews, take after take in street clothes, dying of hypothermia, but very very kind of deadpan.
They did great.
They're all wearing thermal underwear. God bless them. And what's amazing is that as cold as they must have been, there was this incredible moment where our amazing lead, Jonas Dassler, had just gotten through the first take of his sermon, which is being shot in this church interior with John Matheson's lighting, making him look like an archangel, just coming in. It looks like sun streaming in through a window, but it's all artifice. And Jonas stopped speaking, and all of the extras stood up and applauded. All of the crew. It was like this
wow.
celebration. And it was just magical. And I mean, these are not, these are not churchgoers for the most part. But it was, that was sort of the day-to-day mood on the set. It was very elevated, very joyous almost, despite the gravity of the subject matter sometimes.
Yeah.
And we had many crew coming up to us and telling us, this is just, there's something about this story. There's something about this set. There's something about this film that just grips me.
Yeah,
So,
we had
amazing.
cameramen, wiping a tear. We would see them occasionally. And these are all very, as I said, very secular people. But it was an amazing set. And I should do a little shout out to I think one of the reasons why the lighting is so incredible, the reason the lighting is so incredible, and the cinematography is so incredible, because we had John Matheson as our director of photography. Oof. And John Matheson is a legend. John Matheson, well, all of his films, but Gladiators is what he shot. He's shooting Gladiators 2 now, or did last year. Yeah. He's just, Hollywood is very relational, and Todd knew a lot of wonderful people that read the script and said, we'll come on board. We'll work on this. And John Matheson had this 3-month break, and he agreed to work on our film. It's just we had wonderful people. God sent us amazing craftsmen to work with us, and wonderful actors. Yeah, I remember, and an amazing editor. Our editor, started editing with Clint Eastwood when he was 22, because his father worked for Clint Eastwood as an editor. Oh wow! And he did Sully. That's for Todd, who wrote Sully, our director and our screenwriter. That's where we met him. And he was our editor, and he was just an amazing editor. That's those two jobs, DP editor, are extremely important after the director. Right. But the actors were superb. In fact, one day we heard from the editor. He was editing the scene where I don't want to give away the film, but
spoiler alert.
That's right. And in this scene, which is a lovely scene, the lighting is amazing. Yeah. The pastor's wife has one line, and she is acting throughout this whole scene. And the editor, who had to watch it over and over and over again, he one day called the director and said, "You should watch it. This woman has no line. She has one line. She is an amazing actress. She's just so that was wonderful to hear." But that was kind of the caliber of everybody, really. If you look at the movie. People that had one line or no lines and just had to react were all very, very good. We were very blessed to get. We had great casting directors as well, and they scoured Europe for the best actors and actresses.
What was that process like for finding your Bonhoeffer? You both gave me an eyebrow raise. Now I'm more intrigued.
I just said, you want to tell? You go ahead, John. You tell us. It's an amazing story. How we got
this was my personal experience, and a shout out to John Ross Hubbard, our amazing casting directors, and also to Todd Kermanicki, who I don't think we could say enough good things about. As our writer director. I'm kind of glad he's not on, because we can brag about him. He's just such a genius, and he's so great. I remember being on set and just thinking, this guy, I don't know how he does it, but he's able to coax these performances out of these actors that are just transcendent. And during the casting process, it was all remote. We'd get these recordings of people, sometimes on their phones, sometimes on a camera, and they'd be reading a passage from the script, or 2 passages from the script, to give us a little bit of the emotional variation. And these would get sent to us after they were narrowed down a bit. And I remember with the Bonhoeffer one, kind of watching and taking notes. Here's this guy. Yeah, it kind of looks like Bonhoeffer. I don't know. I'm not really vibing with the way he does the reading, but maybe I could see. And I'd sort of be grading them. And there was nobody that stood out, and nobody that you thought should get cut. And then Jonas Dassler does his read, and I just dropped my pen and was like, it's got to be this guy. Who else could it possibly be? Yeah. Never heard of him before. I didn't know anything about his filmography. But I called Heidi, my wife, over, and I said, "Go watch this guy." And she was just riveted. We just kept watching his auditions over and over and going, this guy's unbelievable. Just leaps through the screen at you and grabs you by the throat. So great. And he brought all of that to this performance, and it's just an amazing, spellbinding performance.
Yeah.
Really, really great. That's how it went for me, Camille. I don't know if it went that way for you.
Well, it's funny because I always wanted British actors. I said it's got to be European, but mainly British, because they're theater trained. They have the gravitas, they have the acting chops, and so we looked in all over, places, theaters, and our casting director looked in the UK, and then Todd called a film. I think he was a director. A friend of his was a director in Germany, and said, "Here's what I need. Can you send me a list?" And the person sent a list, but one name on the list, and that name was Jonas Dassler. And so our casting people, and I looked at his age. I thought, Todd, he's 27 years old, or 26 at that time. And I said, I don't know if he's going to have the gravitas to do this part. And Todd was just convinced after the audition. And Todd was right. He was right about all the cast. So we sent, the casting people called his agent, and the agent said he's not reading, which means he's not accepting scripts. He was burned out. He was taking a break. And then eventually, our casting people asked the agents to read the script. They read it. They loved it, which is a good move.
That's good. That's good. It's smart.
Yeah, and so I remember Jonas telling the story later. In this time that he was not reading and he was taking a break, his grandmother died, and he was very close to his grandmother. And so she knew she was going to die, I suppose, and she had planned her funeral. And she'd asked the family to sing a song. And so he sang the song, and after they finished singing the song in the funeral, Dietrich looks down and it says Jonas looks down and says lyrics by Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Oh, wow.
So that just, that's the kind of divine intervention we had throughout.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, so he went home and called his agent, needless to say, and thought, I think I need to read the script. So.
Oh, my goodness.
But he was wonderful.
Wow.
He was, and a lot of, since Todd's not here, we'll sing his praises. we would do it if he was here.
All right.
A lot of what the director is the king of the set, right? And things on a set are very organic, and they take their atmosphere from the director, and every actor, and even crew people. We had so many people comment on what a lovely set it was, and that was really Todd. What a safe. The mother, Nadine, who's a brilliant actress, Bonhoeffer's mother, she talked about what a safe atmosphere it was, and August Diehl, who's an amazing actor, talked about the atmosphere. Really, that was all. Todd created a very lovely place to create, which actors need.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, that makes all the difference. And your casting team, all of you did such a good job there. It was, everybody was so good. And I think down to kind of, we were talking about the, set design down to the little pieces, like everything was just so thought of. I feel like every person that was seen, every extra, everything just felt like they were there. So that's interesting to hear that, that was the feeling on set. Like it's just safe, everybody. And the fact that people would cry, and it's almost like they forget that they're on a set filming a movie in that moment. That's very powerful. It's very, very cool.
Yeah. I have to tell a story about
please do.
casting, because we had to find Dietrich first, or you didn't have a movie, right? You don't find the lead. And I have to tell you, Todd has a lovely wife. She's Irish. Her name is Jane. And we'll do a shout out to Jane here.
Hi, Jane.
Kudos to Jane. So this is what we heard from Todd later. When they would audition the part of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a lot of these actors would kind of put on their pastor voice, as a more serious.
Yes.
Yeah, gravitas. Pastor voice.
That's right.
And Jane apparently said to Todd one day, she said, I don't think any of these people know any pastors. Like they probably don't go out and have, coffee with the pastor.
Right.
And so when Jonas auditioned, apparently he sort of did the same thing. And Todd just said, because Jane, they had told Jonas, you'll be able to do another audition, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And Jane had said, why don't you just tell him to relax? And so it was great direction, helped by Jane, that got us a great audition from Jonas.
That's amazing.
A little bit of inside baseball here too about this movie. One of kind of our and you heard Camille allude to this earlier. One of the things we were looking at in casting was a lot of times when you do a World War II drama, you hire English actors, and so you wind up with a cast of Germans who all sound like they're doing Shakespeare. And one of the great things about this film is that the German good guys in this movie are all German.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And a lot of the German bad guys in this movie are actually English and Irish. I spent a lot of time in the tent between takes with Hitler from this movie, and he is a very nice young English gentleman who was entertaining us between scenes with stories of having to ride around in the double-deckers in London while he was growing his little mustache and getting very few looks from people, as you can imagine. So
that was real. It wasn't a fake stash.
That was not. Well, look, I mean, everybody on this story was committed to realistic storytelling, so he had to actually grow a
Oh my
mustache.
Goodness!
Yeah,
it's funny. We never thought we'd have an all German cast. We just thought, well, first of all, how are we going to find them? And so we just went. To me, it was like England or some other place in Europe, and maybe a English-speaking country.
Right.
But when Jonas did his his audition, at the end, he kind of gave a little interview or an introduction, maybe he did it at the beginning, but he said, I was like a stickler. I had worked in the world of voiceovers, and I was a stickler for the accents. I thought, I just don't want 10 different accents, the British, the American. So I thought it'd be nice to have which we did have because we hired a coach. Yeah. But when he does his interview, he gives us his name. He goes, I'm Jonas Dasser. I'm from Berlin. And I went, Berlin, that's it. That's a German accent. He's speaking like Berlin. So he had high marks before he even started the audition.
I love that. That's, you know what? That's great. I'm like, I wish, sometimes when I hear these stories, I'm like, man, I wish I could see these tapes you're talking about and then see like the final product. And so that's really cool. Thanks for sharing some of that insight with us onto how that went.
If we have time, we should have Camille do some impressions because she can do some great. She's great with German accents. She could probably recreate those moments for you.
That would be perfect.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
I love it. I feel like I'm at a point where I need to remind people about that giveaway. I'm like, maybe you should do it in an accent.
And John can model it. John, you have the giveaway.
I will model it. You do the voiceover.
Okay, tell them that they can enter to win.
They call it step and repeat, John, because you have to repeat.
Oh no, that's right.
That's why they call it step. That's why they call the red carpet. So keep modeling.
Okay. Do you want to tell them, or would you like me to do it?
No, you do it.
I will not be doing it in an accent.
No, you can do it. We think it's a shirt, the Bonhoeffer.
Well, we have a giveaway going on this live stream right now. If you guys buy a ticket during this live stream, you're entered to win a t-shirt that John is wearing. Not the actual shirt off his back, but the same shirt. You can be twins. You just need to go to bonlive.com to get those tickets. And then we'll announce the winners at the end. So thank you for modeling again for us, John. So I would like to know, John, we'll start with you, what your favorite attribute of Bonhoeffer is.
Well, I feel like I'm cheating here because we already sort of set this up, but I would say his courage, just his fearlessness to kind of go after what he felt God was setting before him. I mean, one thing that's fun about the movie is that you might hear somebody say, "Oh, it's a story about a German theologian," and you might think, "Well, that doesn't sound that exciting." But then when you actually watch the movie, you see his amazing childhood. You see him in Harlem. Worshiping, but also sitting down and having barbecue with Adam Clayton Powell, going to jazz clubs, performing in jazz clubs.
Yeah.
And then coming back from Germany and, founding an illegal seminary, running through the woods at night, driving a group of Jewish prisoners to freedom at the Swiss border. I mean, there is lots of daring do and adventure in this story. And he just had an incredibly full life, an incredibly interesting and impactful and dynamic life for a young man of his age and experience. It's really amazing. It really is an amazing story from that perspective. Thank
you for sharing that. Camille, what's your favorite attribute of Bonhoeffer?
So, John, you took my favorite attribute, courage. But that's okay.
You can be both of yours.
Yeah. He would speak the truth and be fearless. Bishop Bell at his funeral said, even though he was so young, he spoke the truth and was unafraid of anyone. He just was not afraid to speak the truth. And I think that's also because his faith was getting deeper and deeper, and truth is a person. Truth is Jesus, not just telling the truth. But also, one thing that we didn't show a lot of, because we didn't have time, to put everything in 2 hours, but you see a little bit of it. He was known in prison when he goes to prison. He spends 2.5 years in prison, so we obviously collapsed that time. But people just fell in love with him. Prisoners went to him he was so humble in prison. And he tried to be upbeat. He tried to comfort people. And that's why you see guards would befriend him. I mean, nobody wanted to kill a German. The Germans didn't want to kill. Here he's so Aryan looking, and he's obviously this brilliant German. And he was so kind. And the actual prisoners that he was with all loved him, and were so heartbroken when they took him away. So I think he had this rare combination of tremendous courage and also humility. And he was just a very loving person. He really felt, as a Christian, I think as his faith grew, and he came from a very loving family. He had such a good start. He was always taught to look out for the other person. So his love for mankind and his humility were, two of the not the trait that got us inspired to write a movie. The trait that did was just tremendous courage in the face of tremendous obstacles and challenges and evil. But since John took that one, I had to fill in the other.
That was a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Just improved on what I said in every way, Camille.
It's
tag teaming the answer. So for everybody on this stream with us today, I would like them to hear from you as to why you think they should go and see this film. Camille, let's start with you.
Okay, we live in some very difficult times right now.
Yeah.
And this is such an inspiring film. This is a film that shows you no one is helpless. There's so much you can do. One person can make an enormous difference. And we hope you'll be so inspired. And, when we started the film, it was 12 years ago, and the world was troubled then. We were seeing anti-Semitism rising in Europe, in places like France. Never could we have imagined we'd see it in America and on our college campuses. But I think it's just really inspiring. His courage is something to be emulated, and I think we would love to see a generation, old and young, of people be raised up that will be Christians like Bonhoeffer, that they be all in and be willing to pay the ultimate price. And if you're not a Christian, we hope that this will start you on the same journey that he started on.
That's good.
That's so amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's really good.
Yeah. John, why would you like everyone to go see this film?
That's such a personal question. I think for me, a main reason I go to films is to be entertained. I see a poster, I hear my friends talking about a movie, and I think that sounds like something I'd really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think that is one thing that this film offers. To talk about it at an artistic level, I mean, it's true, it's beautiful, and it's good, right? 3 things we look for in art. It's true because the story and the setting and the man that this film is about are all real people, real events.
Yeah.
It's beautiful because I was just sitting here thinking about your question, and it seems to me like a lot of films that are beautifully made, with fantastic acting, with world-class cinematography, with amazing set design, just absolute top-notch writing and directing and performances aren't really about anything. It's sort of fluffy and insignificant. And ironically, a lot of films that are in theaters today that are about very important subjects, the most important subjects, are just not very well made, or the tone is they're over earnest or didactic. This movie is kind of this best of both worlds of beautifully made, beautifully performed, beautifully written, beautifully acted, and the weightiest subject matter you can imagine. It all comes together in this magical package where you feel like you're eating a meal that's not only beautifully prepared but incredibly nutritious.
Yeah.
And you just feel so happy that you're having this experience. That's what I love about this movie. And finally, True, Beautiful, Good. It's a good movie because you'll be asking yourself some of the same questions that Bonhoeffer was no doubt asking himself in his time. There's this great scene that you showed from the trailer where Bonhoeffer says, "Invasion. My country was invaded from within." And he's talking about this incredibly emotional, personal moment that he's having when he realizes how these things are coming together in his story. And a lot of us are experiencing moments like that in our time, thinking, well, what does this all mean? What am I supposed to do? And this movie, I think, will be kind of a beacon for people in that regard, in a lot of ways, with things they're struggling with in their lives. So I think it's a movie you have to see. Not just a movie you want to see and want to tell people to see, but you'll be dragging your friends and your family to the theater saying, "Come sit with me and watch this, and let's talk about it after."
Yeah. Wow, you guys are so wonderful. Thank you for coming on here and sharing your thoughts. I loved getting to know you guys. This has been amazing, and also your willingness to chat with the Angel fans, our friends here joining us live. Getting to see a little bit into the creation of the film, I think is so cool, and what a special treat for us. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
It's been a pleasure. It's been great to talk about.
Well, thank
to
you.
share with us.
Yeah. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys again and we'll get to chat more. But thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Watch the movie on opening weekend.
Go see it.
Opening weekend, yes.
Now that we've talked a little bit about the movie and Bonhoeffer and who he is, I hope that you are just as excited as I am for this movie to come out. You can get tickets now at angel.com/bonlive. So what you'll do is you'll go in and you'll type your area code, and all of the theaters near you will appear, and you can pick your showtime. If you go on that website, put your area code in, and you don't see a showtime near you, you can do two things. You can call the theaters and tell them you want to see Bonhoeffer, and two, you can check back in at a later date. We're hoping to see Bonhoeffer in more theaters, so keep checking back. We hope to be in a theater near you. Tickets can, again, be purchased at angel.com/bonlive. If you're an Angel Guild member, you can go online right now to reserve your 2 complimentary tickets to Bonhoeffer. You can either use them yourself or share them with a family member that would love to see it. And if you aren't an Angel Guild member yet, you can go online and join today. Go to angel.com/guild. Okay, before we wrap up, we were doing a giveaway this whole live stream. So for those of you that did buy a ticket during this stream, you were entered to win a Bonhoeffer t-shirt. So we're going to announce the winner now. Let's get a drum roll. You guys at home, give me a drum roll. We're going to put their name on the screen in 3, 2, 1. Ciao! Congratulations! You won the Bonhoeffer t-shirt. I hope to see you in that theater in your Bonhoeffer shirt. I'll be going. I'll be wearing mine. John had his. If you guys are having FOMO, you're sad you didn't get that Bonhoeffer t-shirt, don't you worry. You can still purchase one. Just go to angel.com/BonT to get your own. Again, tickets are on sale. Movie comes out November 22nd. We are so excited for you to see it. Thanks again to Camille and John and the whole Bonhoeffer team for putting this movie together, for helping build a story that amplify light. And thank you to the guild members who helped us find this, who helped approve this so that we could get it out to the world. Again, you can get your tickets now, today, at angel.com/BonLive. So we're going to have more live streams in the future talking about this. So keep an eye out on Angel Studios, Instagram, social medias, and Bonhoeffer's socials. We'll let you know when we're going to do this again. Now, the video you all have been waiting for. We have a behind the scenes clip for you. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here. It's been wonderful hanging out tonight. Enjoy this exclusive clip.
It's the story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, one of the German World War II heroes who had the courage to speak up when the German church was taken over by Hitler. And in the process, lost everything he ever had, but also saved many lives.
Bonhoeffer took on the world. I mean, he was not afraid. He was very courageous, despite the fact that everybody was against him.
And it's about resistance, humanity. It's a story we should keep in mind.
Manu and I have always been fans of Bonhoeffer. We couldn't believe a motion picture had ever been done about this man.
We began the journey then, 10 years ago. The first thing we needed to do is to get a script written.
Todd's amazing. Here's someone who really understands Dietrich Bonhoeffer at a heart and soul level and can tell the story from his perspective almost as if he were writing it himself.
What was so interesting for me was that Todd didn't write a period piece.
I was looking for an actor in their 20s or 30s, a German actor. So I reached out to a German director named Emily Atef, and she wrote me back, Jonas Dassler. He's just got this wide open soul that was available for an invitation to getting to know Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And he has surpassed my wildest expectations.
We need to let the world know what the Nazis are doing to the Jews. And if the church does not speak now, we will lose our voice for 100 years.
Our scouts have done a fantastic job. You could find Harlem, London, and Germany all in, 2 countries.
It's extravagantly beautiful to shoot a movie entirely on location and exceptionally rare. And my hat's off to the team that does this every day and night. But then when you think about beauty, both Belgium and Ireland are gorgeous countries, and you have the beauty of the architecture, and you're immediately in a faraway time. The music scenes that we filmed in Harlem/Belgium were so filled with joy, and it almost felt like documentary footage because they burst into life when the music played, and it was beautiful. And it did the same for the actors, so there was this unity on set on those days that people didn't want to leave. It was as if we were out for a night at the club.
We have this proverb in German, the fish stinks from the head. So in this case, the head is beautiful and good, and the whole thing is nice.
Watching him on set, he's a real actor's director. It's fun listening in on the interactions he has with the cast.
He's such a nice and warm and decent personality.
It was such a nice atmosphere to prepare, to work, and it was like a really safe atmosphere.
He has surrounded himself with some of the most talented department heads in the business.
It's just a dream come true for us to see this happening after 10 years, and to see the caliber of the creative team is just amazing.
John Matheson became available, and I immediately rang up Todd and said, John Matheson is available. And he went, oh my God, the legend that is John Matheson. Let's book him. He's probably one of the best DOPs on the planet. And both John Matheson and John Beard, of course, have worked together many times. So that was a great shorthand right there. And because we had very little time for prep, to get two people of that level to work together and just kind of, do that was very helpful. And they've just pulled it out of the bag. I mean, they've done a special job on this film.
I may have written the script, I understand the character, there are many things that I can bring to the story and how to direct the actors, but I can't tell you how a room's gonna look before it looks that way. He could imagine it lit the way he was gonna light it, he could see it for what it was gonna be, I was just seeing it for what it was. That's why we need each other. What happens is I'll be sitting at the monitor, the lights will flicker on and off, and then inevitably, always right at the end, right before we shoot, he'll whisper into the radio and a tiny little thing will change. Suddenly it looks like a painting.
I won't stop speaking till the world knows why we've done what we had to do.
It's about something, It's not your typical thriller which, keeps you in your seat for like an hour and a half and at the end everything is all right. I think that something's going to stick with you.
His story is essentially one of seeing faith, God, and duty above all else.
Real political courage, real spiritual courage, it's not a magic trick. It's something that resides in us, and we are asked to be brave a lot more than we say yes. So I hope this movie encourages people to pursue things that take courage and then be open to being courageous.
It actually feels meaningful to tell a story that I really think people should hear, and he deserves to be remembered. That's, you can't say that about a lot of things you read.
This is a movie by us. It's a movie by everybody that came. And if you do it right, if everybody is allowed to be as good as they are at their particular job, that it knits together into a tapestry that hopefully works on screen.